During the recent debate between former President Donald J. Trump and current Vice President Kamala Harris on ABC News, a lot of people very quickly and easily recognized that, well, there was some bias, not from the stage, but from the actual moderators of the debate on behalf of Dana Walden's ABC and Bob Iger's Disney. You can take a guess at which direction that bias swung, but there was a report after this of a whistleblower that would allegedly be coming forward with information. Well, it seems, in some respects, that that has happened. This was posted on X a couple of days ago, and allegedly this whistleblower filed a complaint with, of all places, the United States Securities and Exchange Commission. There's a lot of things that are just a little odd about this, and we've got the great Ron Coleman from the Coleman Nation podcast, one of our legal experts here in the Renegade Nation, to lend his thoughts and, of course, my own on this very bizarre and highly unusual situation. Renegade Online. I saw this on Twitter a day or two ago. We've been talking about this, of course, since the infamous ABC debate. There was a very, very clear, evident bias in that debate. Donald Trump was interrupted by the moderators countless times, corrected, quote-unquote, corrected, countless times, fact-checked, quote-unquote, countless times. Kamala got away with some huge whoppers, including, we don't have any military personnel in any dangerous forward areas in the entire world for the first time since Gargamel first chased the Smurfs. I don't know what the hell she was talking about. I loved the video clip of where the phone immediately turns around to all the I think there were Marines stationed in a forward area going, well, where the F are we right now? It was priceless. Kamala was instantly fact-checked by the very troops that she was pretending, I guess, don't exist. I'm not sure. But then we had a story come out where this alleged whistleblower was going to confirm something that ABC did. They overheard something. And then there was this tweet from Laura Loomer, I know, that said that this whistleblower had imparted some knowledge. So I want to bring in somebody right now to discuss this. He usually likes to talk about stuff like this. So let's get him in here now. It's the great Ron Coleman.
How you doing?
How you doing? Well, look, here's the deal. So this article, and I know TPP was debating whether or not how to approach this topic, and this actually came from another tweet. Well, I'm sure it's in this article. Disney whistleblower, of course, this thing has been going on now that somebody is saying that they overheard conversations or they have some kind of evidence that the Walt Disney Company, their words, colluded with, allegedly, Kamala Harris campaign to potentially pass her information on the questions being asked ahead of time and agree that they would fact-check Donald Trump, let her ride, and do her thing. This is where we are. And I'm sure you've probably seen some of the story out there in the past week.
Well, I think I actually was interviewed on that Park Place on this very topic.
Yep.
But not this update, not this SEC aspect of it, and certainly not the Laura Loomer aspect. And that's a good opportunity for me to make a couple of disclaimers before we go any further.
Right.
Although I represent the Trump campaign and the president in a number of utterly unrelated intellectual property matters and other things from time to time, I'm speaking here as a personal observer, professional, but not in connection with my representation of the campaign or the president. Moreover, I will be very, very careful when discussing the topic of Laura Loomer for reasons.
For reasons, yes, exactly. That fact aside, I want to focus more on kind of the nature of these leaks, more so than the source. But here we go. Previously, that Park Place had covered an anonymous Disney whistleblower who alleged that the Walt Disney Company coordinated with the Harris campaign in order to gain significant advantage in the ABC presidential debate. Now things get a little bizarre. What appears to be a coordinated communication effort between a number of conservative political activists online. The whistleblower's allegations have been filed with the Securities and Exchange Commission, a federal agency that oversees corporate activities, and more specifically, folks out there, publicly traded corporate activities. That's strange, given the inappropriate coordination with political parties would not typically be within the purview of the SEC, as it's better known, and not the Southeastern Conference like we were talking about earlier, of course. We'll get into why this is such a twist in just a moment, but here's the post. And again, going into the fact that Laura Loomer alleges that, and I'll pull this up separately so we can see it if it will load, but I guess it doesn't want to. Okay. There we go. So, pull this down for a second. So the ABC whistleblower who claimed ABC News gave Kamala Harris the presidential debate questions ahead of time has given me a copy of the official complaint they filed with the SEC. As of today, the Securities and Exchange Commissioner has acknowledged receipt of 2 complaints lodged against Disney, the owner of ABC News. The complaint, seen below, states that ABC News and their parent company Disney colluded with Kamala Harris in the presidential debate. The complaint shows documents uploaded to the SEC complaint system and a screenshot of the uploaded file that the whistleblower claims is evidence of collusion. And here's some of the citations, and you're already shaking your head, and I think I know what you're going to say, because I really scratched my head on this one too. So, Ron, and this is what I want to focus on, right? And this is why I was very tepid dancing around. I don't even think I reposted this one. I was scratching my head at it. This all seems a little weird. It's not that I doubt that there's a whistleblower. There probably is somebody, but I look at these kind of documents. I mean, there could very well be a person, but I look at this and I kind of wonder, I'm like,
okay,
the SEC?
Right. First of all, this is just, it's super important. I like the fact that we have the screenshot of this admission, of this confirmation of the submission. Mm-hmm. This is something a computer sends you.
Right.
What the tweet that you read said was that the commissioner, now there isn't a commissioner of the SEC, there are members of the SEC, there are commissioners.
Yeah, there are 5.
But you might very well have the impression that the securities version, the federal securities version of Commissioner Gordon,
right,
picked up was awakened by the bat phone and said, we just got a whistleblower complaint. Mm-hmm. And he sent an email or a registered mail or a messenger confirming. No, the confirmation is this, that if you or I write a poem and submit it to the SEC,
we're going to get this letter back.
We're going to get the same exact confirmation. So the confirmation is of no consequence. But
right.
So when I discussed this, my big question was, why do you have an affidavit in a situation where there's no ongoing proceeding? What's an affidavit? An affidavit is a sworn statement, sworn under penalty of law. But we don't usually prove things by affidavits in a vacuum. We submit affidavits in order for them to constitute evidence in some kind of proceeding. And the question that I think everybody had, and I think this is what you were alluding to, is even if this is true, where do you go with it?
Right.
It's a debate on TV by the scumbag corporate media.
Yep.
They've been the scumbag corporate media for a very long time. There's no law against it. In fact, the First Amendment guarantees them the right to be the scumbag corporate media. There's no, as far as I'm aware, I'm pretty confident about this, there's no regulatory oversight of a presidential debate. The Federal Election Commission, I think, has nothing to say about it. It's not.
Yeah, I was going to say an FEC situation might be, and
so I guess after coming, after doing this, and keep in mind, we don't have any real names or dates. Well, dates. We don't have names.
Mm-hmm.
The closest thing we have to a name is Laura Loomer, which is, well, Laura can be a very, very effective investigative reporter, but evidently that's the best they could do in terms of credibility.
That's why I was going to ask. I'm like, all this, it's like, okay, why Laura Loomer? Why? I mean, of all the potential places out there that they could have gone with this. I mean, you've had other outlets out there that we could go down a laundry list of that are even bigger, I would say, than she is, and probably still has maybe perhaps a better reputation in this day and age. But, it is weird. And I have not had a chance to read this whole article yet, except for just what we've read so far, because it just happened during the show. I know they were talking about how to do this, but the peculiarities, and I think we're going to come to the same conclusions. First of all, like you said, the SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission. What exactly are we alleging? What type of securities? Because usually you file a complaint with the SEC. You're filing a complaint because somebody's committing securities fraud or something like this. That's the biggie, right? Is that somebody is engaging in practices that are expressly prohibited. I mean, we have seen major banks, financial institutions, mutual fund companies, insurance companies, if they're publicly traded or they're regulated under the SEC like that, we've seen fines all the time, every week, every month, every year. We've seen billions in fines levied against, banks that aren't even there anymore. Some of them still are, like Wells Fargo and JP Morgan, Bank of America. All these guys pay fines every year for something. Hey, we opened a bunch of phony accounts to make the numbers look better, and they got caught. It's like people would sign up for a checking account, and we'd open a savings account form they didn't really know about, but we got a bonus for it. So that they fine for that kind of stuff. They fine for cooking the books. Right? You deliberately defraud your investors with phony reports and stuff like this. This is where we see the SEC typically step in. I'm with you, Ron. I'm trying to figure out, I'm looking at this and I'm going, what the hell would the SEC do about this, right? How does this constitute, and there may be something buried in some minutia of SEC regulation, but I doubt it. But they talk about the peculiarities here, and like we talked about, while we're open to reporting anything legitimate, that's a stretch into a new realm of legal theory that, filing with the SEC, meaning that the whistleblower is almost certainly claiming that this alleged collusion is a betrayal of fiduciary responsibility by Disney. I don't see how that fits. But
in fact, it might even be good for their business.
Right.
Since when is it beneficial to Disney for Trump to win?
Yeah. You got a point. That's a great point, Ron. It's as crazy as that sounds to the audience. But financially speaking, you're correct. But this is what Marcus brought up just a minute ago. And this is exactly where I was looking at. And again, I think this could even be a stretch, because how do you really...
Then there's no end to it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's like, could Disney's bias during the debate be considered a, quote, in-kind donation? And if the whistleblower's accusations are true, require the Federal Election Commission to investigate.
No. If that's going to be the case, then the entire ABC, CNN, I mean, everything. And remember how we mocked the First Amendment defense in Gina Carano's case?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's time for the First Amendment defense to get some respect. Okay?
Yeah.
Media outlets... I mean, look, someone in the campaign made a decision that it was worth taking a chance of going with ABC, and ABC burned them.
Yep.
ABC, didn't do what CNN did, which was to step up and demonstrate that at least for a couple of hours they could be trusted. In fact, they were so over the top that there is a line of thought that they actually overshot the target and did themselves some harm.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no way in hell the FEC is getting into the space of deciding bias. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, the Federal Elections Commission just wants to know, where did the money from your campaign come from, and what did you spend it on, and how? You know, that's at the end of the day, that's what they're looking at, right? And that's what you have to report. Now, of course, there are some things like in-kind contributions. You know, if you, like in the past, years ago, and I'm talking small ball stuff, like local, you know, guys that were running for, you know, a local council or something like this, I would, you know, occasionally do some photography for them. Or I would shoot a 30-second video for them to put on Facebook, you know, to talk to prospective voters or something. And a lot of these people were, I knew for many years, they were close friends of mine. So I would do it for them gratis. That would be considered an in-kind contribution to a campaign, because that professional photography or professional video production has some type of monetary value, right? So that's the kind of thing. But this, how do you put a figure on this? How do you put a figure on this that what's the value, number one, and number two? I mean, how do you? I'm with you. I don't think the Federal Election Commission wants to go anywhere near this. I don't think the SEC would want to go anywhere near this, because like,
I wouldn't want them to. I don't think the Trump campaign wants them to, because why would you ever want a government agency refereeing anything that implicates Donald Trump? That's not going to be to his benefit. They're all institutionally disinclined to favor him and institutionally inclined to disfavor him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's possible that whoever it is who generated and is, I don't want to be too disrespectful, but basically peddling this affidavit.
Yeah.
Ran out of ideas about what to do with it.
Yeah.
And figured, well, we can file it with the SEC and then say it's been filed with the government. I don't know if there was anything else. I mean, if the affidavit is all that was filed, then I don't know what that amounts to. But if there was a substantive complaint, which, you know, reading as we scroll through it, what Pro put up on that Park Place, I don't have that impression, because he's basically speculating.
This is what Laura Loomer has published with the tweet, right? Was this screenshot number PNG, screenshot blah 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 PNG, and then it just says emails PDF. So alleged, I mean, going by this and seeing what little bit that we have seen, that there's a screenshot of something and there's emails of something. And as TPP points out in the article, there's not really any other substance than that, not even anything that's redacted that we could look at to see what's there without mentioning any maybe specific names or what.
But there doesn't seem to be a real, what we would call a complaint.
Right. Yeah. I mean, just that initial screenshot of a receipt.
This doesn't really enhance the story at all.
In your own words, describe the conduct or situation you're complaining about, right? And it's just a narration, a simple narration that was entered in a text field on an SEC website. That's it. I've heard and observed conversations and have evidence in hand of ABC News, Disney, a division of the Walt Disney Company, collusion between ABC News and Kamala. It's my belief from the context of the conversations ABC News and the debate held, blah, 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 blah. It's the same stuff. I'm not a Trump supporter. I've never voted for Trump, but the context of the conversations I've heard among other observations that ABC News is working with the Kamala Harris campaign and that Disney may exact monetary or other future considerations if they aid in the election of Kamala Harris. I have sat idly by for years and watched. So I guess in addition, this person is alleging that she thinks, or he thinks, or I don't know who this is, but this person thinks that Disney is going to be nefariously compensated for helping Kamala. I don't understand. Like, I'm with you.
I just don't see how this gets into the Securities and Exchange Commission's bailiwick.
No.
Securities and Exchange Commissions, folks, is the regulatory body that is most relevant to the day job of Valiant Renegade. It's about disclosure. It's about regulating the trading of securities and financial markets, disclosure. Nothing to do with politics. I mean, obviously everything has something to do with politics, but
right.
of all the federal agencies, the SEC just dropped the dime right on Elon. Mm-hmm. Because of course. But so that's an abuse, but that doesn't get us here. So this looks like real garbage.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm interested to see what the substance is of this alleged complaint, right? Of this alleged whistleblower. Show us the emails. Show us the screenshots. Who said what? What are we talking about here? Because right now it's just, look, clearly, and I want to make this obvious for the audience, people watching clips of this later. We all know what they did in the debate. We all saw it, right? Nobody's denying the fact that this was a very one-sided, heavy-handed, over-the-top, completely biased dumpster fire. This was not a debate. This was a ambush by Disney and ABC in tandem with the Kamala Harris campaign against Donald Trump. Okay? That's what it looked like to everybody out there. Even people on the left were going, damn. Okay? That's reality. But like Ron said, what do you do with it? Who do you sue? How do you sue? What complaint for this? ABC, Disney, yeah, they're a journalistic organization, right? But where is it written that if they want to be biased to one side or the other, they can't be? Obviously, CNN and MSNBC and they've been doing it for years. NBC, ABC, CBS, the major. They haven't been slapped down for it by a regulatory body yet, and they ain't gonna be. No. The best way to slap these folks down is by voting with your wallet and turning off the TV and not watching ABC again. Not watching ABC News. Let them feel the pain of lost advertising revenue because people said, this was awful. I can't trust this network anymore. That's how you defeat them. That being said, I'd still love to see what is supposedly in evidence here. I don't know what it is.
It doesn't look like much. It looks, I mean, again, you have a narrative field that you fill out. Mm-hmm. That that was spat back.
Yeah.
You want to put, whenever you make an automated filing like this, mm-hmm. which is the first, this is not like filing a lawsuit, but if you file other kinds of administrative things, a complaint with a government agency, you always want to lead with something that tells the first mm-hmm. cut person who reviews input.
Yep.
This is relevant to your job. This is something for you to not put in the spam folder. This is something for you to send along to the right department, to the right section. This just sounds like a generic complaint about the world mm-hmm. that has nothing to do with securities or security exchanges.
Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.